As Mark, I wanted to cover some of the things that make the playbook and the platform, the programs really stand out in terms of just simple ways that it changes how we look at the field, how we communicate with players, how we coach, and even our own development as coaches. I know it's not easy to really always think about that, but as coaches, we can always get better too. And what happened here way back, I mean, just the quick version of the story was I didn't have something useful for understanding the football field. So let me start by pulling up this, and this is this is a very common scenario. So this is what we would have had drawn for this particular play. In fact, this is what's in our playbook roughly for what we're talking about right here. Now, going back to the video, you can see, well, there's a lot more going on here. This is on the hash. We're not in the same formation. We draw it up with some sort of a look most of the time. It's almost irrelevant because, what do players and these things on a piece of paper really mean to a player? As a coach, I think we handle those pretty well. I don't think there's a huge amount of growing up or learning from those things. But in teaching players, at least for me, the athletes that we're working with are 14, 15, 16, 17, they're just teenagers, and it's easy to think, well, just get it together. But the conversations we're having are like, this is not related at all to what happens in this play right here. This play isn't particularly groundbreaking in any way, and there's nothing that makes it stand out. It's a simple run play that, got busted up. I think it's 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, something like that. And the goal here isn't really to highlight anything revolutionary. It's the purpose of this video is to really just kind of show some of the ways that you have a better way to teach, better ways to coach, and better ways to communicate, back and forth with players, learning what they know, learning what, they're you're teaching well or not understanding, or we're just not communicating on the same page. Because the view, and a lot of us know this as we, play football. Some of us really only stood in players' shoes, really. The point of view of a quarterback versus a wide receiver versus a safety versus a right guard, they're drastically different. And that makes it so that we have always relied on these 2D overhead images, and that's been all right. So, first into the platform itself. I'm going to speed this up really quick. All I'm doing right here is adding that video that I was playing in the background into the website. So that goes up and saves. It takes 6 seconds to save, so I want to reference that just because that's important. And I skip ahead there. Here's what the playbook looks like. And this is the play. This is everybody lined up in the right position, roughly what we're seeing. And this is the film clip. This is what we've all seen, and we've all worked on this. We have film study Saturday mornings, and we tell kids to go watch the film that we put online and all that. This is what we really want to show when we talk about film. We have the ability to show off some space in comparison to what we've had before. We have a better understanding, a better diagram of what really exists on the field. The scale of things, the tools that we've had before, that really breaks down. These sorts of tools have failed us as coaches and are causing issues in how we can teach and how we can communicate, and ultimately how we can make our players better, which is great for us. We win more, and it's great for them and the sport. Pop into the press box cam here. As coaches, this is kind of what we see, or perhaps the best that we can see it is when we're in the press box. For a lot of us, we spend all of our time on the sideline, which is a pretty difficult way to view a game. I think a lot of people don't realize when they're watching from the stands that there are times when you can't really see much. And if you go back and look at that video, it does happen on the opposite hash from our team. So that is very much, as a coach, what you were probably seeing. And then again, going back and saying, hey, what did you see up there? What did it look like? When we're in the game, we hardly have any time to address those things. But even on the practice field, we really struggle with that possibility, because how many of us are looking at what's about to happen and saying, well, there's 21 other guys standing around out here, not to mention all of the guys on the bench back there. The tools I've been building are meant to attack that problem. So I'm going to float around the field here a little bit with some of the different camera angles. And I think the easiest way to put it, the best way I've found, is to let coaches look at it and say, oh, how would I use this differently to teach a player? Now that you've seen that, I'm going to upload a little video of how you could show a player exactly that without ever having to be in the same room with them. So I've started a video record here, and I'm just going to float around the screen a little bit, kind of capture those same sort of views. And obviously, that's completely up to you as a coach to say, hey, I've got Jeremy, and Jeremy needs to see this, and he needs to see it against this specific look, and he needs to be able to see it from standing right here. So there you go. Recording it is that easy. Float around the field, fly around the field. You can do it from multiple camera angles, and it's going to save that. So now it has saved that to the website. So I'm in the website now. I'm just going to kind of walk through how it would work from here in order to take what you've looked at and what you've put some effort into and get it into some players' hands. So you can see the video is now up on the web, which means it's really easy to share. Even if we didn't do anything more than that, you've got a pretty great way to take something that you couldn't show your other coaches, your team, your players, any position groups before, and so I've got my videos in there, and now I'm going to package them up. The first thing is just kind of creating a little quiz, which is really only a quiz in name. You can just throw it in there to put in video or images or documents into something that you can give out to students. So I'm speeding it up here. All I'm doing is adding a video and a quick fake name and then quick fake answers. From there is creating what are named guides. So a guide is just kind of a collection of those quizzes or documents or whatever you have that you want to share out to players. So I'm going to add the two that we have here. And it becomes pretty clear how you can take these things and package them up, reuse them. You can take any of those simple images, documents, pictures, plays, quizzes, and use them as components that allow you to build up whatever you need over time. So here we have a player guide, and I've jumped into the test player view. So this is what a player would see. They would go and see exactly what you put in there in the video, and it would get pointed out to them, and it would be in that bundle. So if you put, hey, this is our install for week 3, then they're going to see those 3 or 4 clips. And the big piece that I like to show off is this is how it looks on a phone. Is very clear, easy to see. The video, I like it a lot. It's basically like opening up, any sort of video streaming tool and then having the notes from your coach. So I'm a big fan of being able to put anything that I put effort and coaching time into a player's hands. Once they take that on your side, they can go ahead and retake it and see how they did as well, so that it's not just like, hey, you failed. But again, if it's just like your answer is, hey, click here, that's correct, make sure you watch this, then there's that as well. For you, when you're looking for the feedback, you can go in and see, okay, someone took this multiple times. The first time they took this, they struggled it with this question, or all of our players are missing this information. For some reason, they don't understand this concept. Do we need to eliminate it, or have we not spent enough time on it? So, taking the film that you used to have, turning those into views that are valuable for players, taking those views and getting them into players' hands, and then being able to use that as feedback. That's really the whole of what's in this. You can see on the left menu bar there on the platform that there's a lot more than just team development, and all of those tools have really valuable things that we just don't have in one place as coaches. A lot of them are things that we're aware of and have used and we like the idea of, but we're separated amongst a billion tools. And that's kind of the next piece that's coming up, is how do we standardize across a number of things rather than having to jump between different platforms for video and game plans and communicating and events and telling people where to park when they show up at whatever stadium it is that we never go to.